we are doing an energy ascension update, and today is the full moon in Scorpio and the eclipse season and the 555 day portal. And so those energies are giving manifestation for our future, and then looking back at our past and celebrating self for all of the accomplishments that we've made externally and intrinsically. So maybe, you know, you're in a completely different space of life. If you're like me, I feel like I've lived 90 lives in this one lifetime, right? And so intrinsic shifts can be, oh, we're doing so much better in our confidence, our self-esteem, and self-love. And then extrinsic, maybe, you know, you're following your passions in your career, or maybe you got a new house, or maybe you started making content, right? Which those are all internal, external, they blend. But anyway, so we want to be celebrating today all that we have done and accomplished. Toot your own horn. I made a video about that earlier on TikTok. Toot your own horn, because I feel like sometimes we diminish our own light, maybe because we lived through trauma and we had to do that to keep ourselves safe. I have to roll down my windows, y'all, so hold on, because I'm not trying to suffocate. Okay, there we go. Okay, I live in Georgia, and it's like 95 degrees outside right now. Anyway, we diminish our own light, maybe out of a trauma response, or because other people, you know, were making us feel unsafe, right? Or we diminish our own light because we don't want to outshine other people. But you shining your light bright is helping other people shine theirs, because you are inspiration. Okay? Like, when I'm out in public now, I can recognize and spot people that are like standing very strong in their energy fields, and it inspires me to stand stronger at mine. But what doesn't inspire me is to be around a lot of people that are in their diminished version, right? Because we gravitate towards each other, and then we like to latch on like trauma bond and stuff, and like complain, you know, like when you're around a whole bunch of negativity and negative people, you tend to kind of like lean that way. But if you're around a whole bunch of positive people, it pulls you up, right? So sometimes you gotta be that person. Oh, 222 on my timer. Sometimes you gotta be that person to hold that strong energy field, so you can be the beacon, so people can find you and like lift up, right? Lift the frequencies, not only individually but collectively. And so I wanted to give like kind of a sneak preview today of some things that are coming down the line that I have talked about with my guides and my higher self, and kind of perceived into those timelines. And so one of them is wealth consciousness. And so us as a collective, one, like money, a lot of people are struggling with lack mentality, prosperity and abundance and things like that, because we have not been set up for success, mainly because we're doing like a lot of masculine energy and capitalism and like all this stuff. But now we are moving into the feminine age of receiving. What's also coming with that is the more consciousness you have, like the more self-aware, and the more that you help your community, the more that you're going to receive prosperity and abundance. Like, we are all shifting onto that paradigm. And when I say we are all shifting, like, you got to make a conscious choice to shift on over. Okay, because another thing is we're seeing this like real big timeline split right now, and a bunch of people just woke up on their spiritual awakening journeys, and you have a choice on whether you go on the new earth paradigm or you stay in the old one, right, where things ain't working great. Right? And the more people that make the conscious choice to hop on over to the better one, the faster we can accelerate, right? Now, that's not saying that we're going to go live on some other planet, right, because we're still going to be here. But the more that people ascend in their consciousness, unity consciousness, love consciousness, it starts shifting everything around out in the collective, right? And then that starts influencing more people. Is, again, the more of us that are experiencing a positive one, the more people are going to gravitate towards those people. Like, hey, what are you doing? Why is your life so awesome? Like, what are you doing intrinsically to create these shifts outside? And so wealth consciousness coming down the line. We're also switching to, beforehand in the masculine energy, we were doing a lot of inspired action, right? Hustle, grind, and then you would be in flow, because then you would see the payoff, right? But for what I have experienced, and a lot of other healers that I'm talking to, is that's not working anymore. Ain't working. That's because the new earth paradigm is coming in, and we can't be doing old stuff, right? So now it's more about getting into alignment within self and finding that frequency, more of like on a quantum scale, and then the action steps afterwards. So you got to get in flow first, action after, because if you're not in the right frequency, none of those action steps are really going to matter. And I don't want to say like not matter at all, because you can still be successful, but not as successful as you could if you were coming from the right intentional space to begin with, right? Like, what do I love to do? How does this make me feel? Is this good for my body? What is my intuition and my higher self saying? Right? Instead of just like jumping straight into something that you're unsure about, because then that creates like a rocky foundation. So even with me and my own personal, my business is like really taking off right now, like even more so than it has in the past, because I'm leaning in to doing the frequency alignment first. And that's not what I wanted to do. I was really struggling with that because I have always been like an inspired action queen. Okay. Like I have hustled and grinded my way to success for the majority of my life and relied on my masculine energy because of trauma and things like that, right? I had to become very hyper independent. And then I kind of hit this halt in my business, but it was my higher selves that were creating those halts because they're like, hey, it's exhausting doing that. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. Okay. So you're gonna have to start doing this if you want to keep rocking and rolling. So I finally like clicked that in and leaning into it more now. Everything is running so much more smoothly, right? But I'm still in the process of letting go of some of those behavioral patterns of like immediately jumping to action without checking in first, which sometimes creates panic, it creates anxiety, it creates confusion, it creates fog, it creates non-clear messaging, right? Even then I kind of slipped up when I was talking about it. But when I take a second to go in first, whether it's making a TikTok video or doing a workshop or a live, or even this YouTube video, like I wanted to make this earlier and I was like, you know what, I need to go get on the treadmill and not put that off because that's more important than this YouTube video. Like, I love y'all. Right? And me in the past would have been like, oh no, I gotta get this messaging out, and then I would have completely bypassed my own needs, and then it would have been a whole different video. This felt so much more resonance after I went and got all my stress hormones out. I watched a funny video, I lifted my vibration and frequency, and now everything's like coming out as I wanted it to, right? And I'm putting me first. Like, that's so important. And I was talking, I was on a podcast earlier, more deets coming soon when it's published, but we were talking about how we really need to check in and ask, like, what do I want to be doing? And not doing things just because other people are doing them, and find success. So I'm going to give you an example. When I was putting my business together, I would hear all these different coaches and healers talk about branding. Okay. You know, like your page needs to look a certain way and you need to say things a certain way, and professionalism, like what even is professionalism? Like a human made construct. But anyway, we don't have to go this right. I was like, if I don't look like this on my social medias or present myself in this way, I'm not going to reach the level of success that they are on. And what I was doing was I was blocking my own blessings and my manifestations because I was doing things that weren't in alignment. Sorry about my nose. There's a lot of pollen here. I wasn't doing things that were in alignment because I wasn't checking in and asking self, like, how does this make me feel? I'm just doing it because somebody told me it would make me successful, right? So when I started to really lean into my neurodivergency, right, and that I am very different, especially in the coaching arena, because life coaching is different than like spiritual coaching, spiritual healing. Like, it's just different. and I'm not saying one is different, you know, better than the other or whatever. It's just different. And so I love unicorns and fairies and mermaids and dragons, and I love memes, like funny memes. I just love colors, vibrant, right? But if you go look at the majority of like coaching spaces, it's very kind of like static, and it's not fun and whimsical and magical, and that's not me. Like, I love being silly, goofy, you know, inner child come through. And I made a direct correlation that the reason that my business was coming to a halt is because I wasn't really being authentic to who I am, and I was cultivating this mask around me. And then when I started to pull that mask down, I feel like I've been pulling masks for a hot minute now, but as soon as I started pulling another mask down, then my social medias started taking off. I started getting a ton more clients because that is who is in alignment with me. Like, they want all those things. They want it to be fun and magical, whimsical, and not be staticky, right? But I was getting in my own head and trying to do what other people are doing for their success, which is great for them. Love that for them, but that's not me, right? And at the end of the day, we are creators of our reality, right? I don't think that we really always understand the depths of what that means. So like for me, I would trick myself and I would say like, oh, well, I need to do this many TikTok lives, and I need to post this many times on Instagram, and I need to do, you know, blah, 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 to be successful. I find success in doing what makes me happy in the moment, like not sticking to a strict schedule, because one, I'm neurospicy and I get bored very easily. 11/11 on my timer here, but I get bored very easily. I also ride the waves of consciousness, and that's the content I make. So it's going to look different all the time. Like, you'll hear people talk about niche down, where you need to pick one thing that you're always talking about. That works for some people, and I love that for them. Okay, but if you're a consciousness expander type of content creator, what you talk about is going to shift, because you're constantly shifting. You're growing and evolving. And not that the niche people aren't. They're growing and evolving in their own space, doing that one thing that they're doing, right? But you over here, this is your permission slip that find you a wheelhouse. Like, what are the things that really light you up that you talk about? Because other neurospicy people also get bored listening to one thing over and over and over again. I know I do. I love listening to people that talk about 95 different topics in a 1-hour session, because you keep in my attention. I love it. And I'm making new neural networking pathways, and I'm learning new things and how everything correlates and is webbed together, and it's great. Like my wheelhouse, and I'll just give you an example so you can see that in real time. So I love talking about inner child healing, the Akashic records, quantum healing. I love talking about spiritual coaching, like helping other spiritual business owners start their businesses. I love talking about neurodiversity and energy healing. That is all kind of under the same web, but still in a wheelhouse, right? I'm not all over the place, because you cannot be an expert in everything, right? I'm not talking about being a zookeeper. And I'm not talking about basket weaving over here, right? Like, you need to pick a couple different things that you want to talk about, but don't feel like you can only talk about one thing. Like, that was me at the beginning stages of my spiritual business. It was like, oh, I'm an inner child healer, or oh, I am a Reiki master, right? And I only talk about certain things. No, I love helping people with a variety of stuff because we are multidimensional beings. And if you want to go see somebody that talks about one thing very specifically, cool, that's fine. I'm not the coach and healer for you, right? Or content creator. Maybe you're a content creator listening to this. But leaning into your authenticity and what you want to do, because you are creating your reality scape around you. Like, I want to be in a reality, or I am in a reality where I do the things I want to do. I get paid very significantly for that. I help people make transformations, like large transformations in their life, as I have mine. And I have a magical, fun, and whimsical time doing it. And I can change what I'm doing all the time, right? We still need to have strong foundations. Like, I'm not saying that we don't need to put in inspired action steps, okay, and have structures, because you definitely need that. Okay, there's some things that need structure. But there's an ebb and flow to life. Life is all about change. And so if society is telling you to put yourself in a box, that might not be for you. Okay? That's not for a lot of us, especially if you are neurodivergent, right? You got to find your own lane and ways of doing things. And so that is coming down through the collective consciousness too, is, you know, the more authentic that you are to self, the better life is going to be for you. And I know that's been a very scary thing in the past, because we're worried about being persecuted, and we're worried about being ostracized, or, you know, just a variety of things, especially if you had a lot of trauma in life. Things like that can be very scary. Okay. But there are so many more of us connecting now, which is one of the reasons I love TikTok so much, because TikTok is part of the Ascension process. Like, that helped connect so many people on many different levels, right? Especially the spiritual community. Like, I have connected with more people through TikTok than anywhere else. I know TikTok has changed a lot as of recently, and it's not exactly the same as it was, you know, like the vibe of it like a year or two ago, but I still think it's great. But there's so many more of us connecting and helping each other feel strong and confident in what we're doing. And so I feel like a lot of those fear paradigms that we've been succumbing to are going to start falling away, because there's so many more of us that are standing up and saying like, hey, I got you, right? Like a greater foundational support team. And if you're listening to this right now and you still feel very isolated, like you don't have other empaths and light workers around you, just know that they are coming. Sometimes it takes a little while to find your soul tribe if you're still finding self, because you can only resonate and find what you're in frequency matched to, right? So like, I couldn't find my soul tribe until I did some deeper diving healing on myself so that I could align with those people. But they did come, and I love them very much. You know who you are. So those are my updates. Is there anything else? I think I covered everything. Okay, thank you for listening to my Ascension TED Talk today. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I would love to hear them. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you in the community. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I do a ton of fun things on my Instagram. In my stories, I put a whole bunch of like fun cartoon, psychedelic, whimsical, magical art in there. Not mine, but I repost people's stuff up there. And then TikTok, I do shorter form content, but I post different things over there as well. Anyway, I would love to have you everywhere. I hope you have a great full moon eclipse season, 555 portal day. If you're watching this in the future, everything that's encapsulated in this video is it's a prediction for the for the future, so it'll still be in alignment if you're watching this later. Okay, lovelies, I hope you have a great day. Love you so much. Sending you a big hug to you and your inner children, and have a magical day.